everyone. Welcome to my channel. This is Carla with Imagine That with Carla. I have 3 projects to share with you today. One is from a board that I actually picked up at an estate sale. Wasn't sure what it was, but I turned it into something really pretty. Also, I had a stash laying around my house that I didn't use, and so I kind of upcycled that. And the other thing I found was something at Dollar Tree that I turned into something adorable. Stay tuned and watch, and at the end, leave me a comment and tell me what you think. Let's get started. So this is the little wooden piece that I picked up at the estate sale. They had a room that had lots of boxes with little wooden pieces in it. This was really grungy and dirty. Didn't know exactly what it was, but it kind of looked like a tray. So that's what I'm going to be making with this wood piece. I'm going to be using coal black fusion paint, and I'm going to give this 2 coats to make sure that wood underneath does not bleed through. Now, fusion paint, it has a built-in sealer, so you won't have to worry about having to seal this before you get ready to add your transfers. I let it dry, and then I took transfers from Rodoute II. This is an IOD transfer packet that came out a few years ago, and I hadn't used any of it yet. So the first thing I did, I went through and I just started cutting out beautiful flowers. I knew I wanted to do red on this black. I think red and black look really classy together. So I played around with this way too long, and I edited out a lot of it. As you can see, I just took it all off, and there were a couple of bouquets that I cut out at the beginning, and those are what I ended up starting with as my foundation for this tray. So I'm going to take my transfer tool, and I'm going to transfer this bouquet on here, and I leave off part of the stem because I don't want it to go all the way down. Here's the second bouquet, and I want to place this, so I think I want to keep it to the left, but I'm not sure yet. Then I end up doing exactly that. I remove the paper from the back of the transfer. First I want to trim off that stem. I don't want that stem hanging down. And again, I don't want to cover up the flowers that I put down first. So I'm going to move that down to the left corner where it all looks like one bouquet. Now I'm going to move over to this IOD Gilded Etiquettes packet, and I cut out several things from that I will be adding to the tray. In the right corner, I'm going to do just a little small arrangement of red flowers. I've got some rosebuds that I'm going to put down first. And after that, I'm going to be adding this small rose. And lastly, this other small flower to go right in there with it. Then I'm adding some more rosebuds below that. And to that, I had this flower picked out, but it just was not working. It was too large. Actually, I put down my stem first, didn't I? The stem just came that way in the packet. It was just a stem, and you could add to the top to make it whatever you wanted it to be. And first, like I was saying, was going to do those 2 flowers that are kind of stacked there, but it was too large. That didn't work. So I had another one already cut out, and I just added that one to there. One thing about IOD, as you know, if you've used their products, they make so many beautiful flowers. It's so hard to choose when you're doing a project. And this is the transfer from the Gilded Etiquettes packet. And when you're putting on the gold gilded transfer, you mostly just want to press where the gold is that you want to transfer. And if by chance something doesn't transfer, just line it up, lay it back down, and then you'll be able to transfer it back into the right place. Here I'm just cutting out some script, and I'll be cutting it apart so I can kind of fill in some of the spaces on the tray. I'm going to add a little bit of script down here in the bottom right corner. Again, trying to just press on the part you want to transfer, the gold part. I'm going to take one of these to the top. And here is another piece that came from Gilded Etiquettes. And that is from Anna Griffin. I had a packet of her, of her gold transfer. She just came out with them. And I had ordered those. So I was going to put more on there, but it had a little bit more trouble kind of coming off. So I thought, we got that one to do okay. I'm not going to press my luck and put something on there that doesn't come off. Now I'm looking at Wild Bloeman, and I'm going to pick out some insects and things to put on there. This is the latest one that came out. I think this is called St. Bell's Gilded Embellishments, and I picked out a couple that I thought would look nice on the ends where I'm gonna be using that for handles. Trying to stay on the part that I want transferred. I'm going to go over both of those. And I like to take my finger and just kind of rub down on them rather than rubbing the burnishing carrier sheet over it, just to make sure. And I think that turned out really pretty. Now you're going to notice when I show you the very end of this, I went back and I added some insects, and I added some butterflies, and maybe a little more gold. And I am sealing it now with clear coat, the satin finish by Dixie Belle, and I did put 3 coats on there, and then I let it dry. And I went back and put another 2 coats after this, the finished product. There are the extra gold script. You'll see a little fly on that flower. I added more butterflies, and there's a dragonfly, and there's a little cameo, another butterfly. Added some flowers at the top, a little more gold gilding on the side, and a little butterfly. I hope you enjoyed this. I think this turned out really pretty, kind of like anthropology. Now this is a little card holder, recipe holder, note holder that I had at home, and I wasn't using it anymore, so I thought I would make something with that. And I'm using kind of the same process. I'm going to be using Lover of Flowers, and this is from Wild Bloeman, and the 3 gold pieces were from the Gilded Etiquette collection. Now this is the poem that came from Lover of Flowers. I'm going to cut it apart, and I'm going to use some of the script as background. Now before I put anything on here, I did go over it with a clear coat satin finish from Dixie Belle to make sure that my transfers would transfer to that surface. Now I'm taking this flower, and I'm pretty sure it came from Lover of Flowers. And as you can see, I'm piecing it together. I was going to use it for another project, but didn't. So I thought it would look perfect on here. Then I'm adding the top back to it. But before I do that, I'm going to add some script over on the side. Going to connect this back to the roses and go ahead and use my transfer tool to transfer that to that surface. This came from Lover of Flowers, this rose. I'm going to place it under the little clamp. I'm going to transfer that on. Now the roses on the bottom almost looks like a clay molding, but those were on there and I thought they went perfect with it. This little gold transfer that I'm putting on came from the Gilded Petite Ornaments. It's coming together and looking nice. This little project, of course, as I said, using the same process, we're just putting it on a lighter background, and I'm liking that too. I like both of them. And this is another gold transfer from Gilded Petite Ornaments, and we're gonna try to stay just on the part we want to transfer. Add that pressure to all those little pieces and it usually comes out perfect. Now this also was part of that floral on the left. It came off the side over there, and I'm just going to add it to the right corner to kind of balance it out and tie it together. I'm going to add a little butterfly, and that was from Bloeman, from IOD. And now I'm going to take the title of that little poem and I'm going to place it in the center. And I should have paid more attention when I was putting on the butterfly, because this is going to cover up part of that butterfly. I tried it off center and it just looked better centered, to me anyway. Going to take the smooth side of the carrier sheet and burnish all of these on. And then to finalize this project, we're going to use Clear Coat Satin Finish from Dixie Belle to seal all those transfers on. Gonna dry that a little under there so I can add some sealer under there. And this project is complete. I think that looks so classy. I may have to keep this one. I'm going to show you these molds first. This is a toadstool mold. This is the Dew Point Pond. This is Trimmings 2. And this is the new Blossoms mold from the spring release 2025 from IOD. So we're going to start with the toadstool mold. And here is this little can that I picked up, a planter from the Dollar Tree. It's adorable just as it is, but I thought we would spruce it up a little bit with some of these great IOD molds. So I am putting some cornstarch in the mold for the toadstool, taking some Sculpey air dry clay, which is what I've used for the whole project here. And we're going to press it in, and I'm going to be making 3 of these to place on that planter. So we're adding some tight bond wood glue. I'm going to place those all on here. And I did have to wait a little bit in between each molding, or casting rather, that I placed on there because it was upright and I didn't want them all sliding off. So now we're going to go to the Dewdrop Pond mold, and we're going to get the frogs. And next will be the little turtle. Again, using Sculpey air dry clay, we press that into the mold. Got our cornstarch in there first to give us a good release. Now we're going to apply those frogs with the tight bond glue. And this little guy, as I'm working throughout this process of making this little planter, I do go back and kind of press on all of these castings to make sure they're adhering and not popping up. And I ended up, as you'll see, putting a little piece of tape on the back end of that one frog because it kept wanting to lift up. And I just put a little piece of Scotch tape on there and that held it on. But I do keep kind of using my hands to mold those around throughout this process of putting this all together. And there's our little turtle. He's also from the Dewdrop Pond mold. We're just going to add some tight bond glue and put him on the planter. Now we've got all 3 of the toadstools. We've got the 2 frogs, there's the tape, and we've got our little turtle. Now we're going to use the new Blossom Spring Release 2025 IOD mold, and we're going to take some of these blossom stems and we're going to add those to the sides of our planter to kind of fill in some spaces. Then I'm going to use Sculpey dry clay. We're going to mold those and take those out, use my Titebond glue, and find little spaces where we want to put those on the planter. And if some of the little buds or leaves fall off, you just simply put some Titebond on there and stick them back on. As you can see, my fingers are getting kind of sticky from all the glue and the clay. I'm looking around and looking everywhere, and I'm thinking, you know, there still are a few spaces that could use just a little bit of something. So after I place this last little floral on down by the frog, I went back to the blossoms mold and decided to, I think I made like 3 or 4 little twigs, and then I proceeded to place those in some of those little spaces that needed just a little something something. Here I'm using Trimmings 2. I decided I wanted to put a border around the top and the bottom. So I'm using this kind of little floral border. It kind of reminded me of the florals in the blossoms mold, so I thought that would be nice to put around the top and the bottom. So we're going to add some glue. Right there I was measuring to make sure I had room around the bottom because I wasn't sure if I got the frogs and the toadstools too close, but it worked out. Now we're going to start at the top, press this on, and then I'm going to continue to add the molding border around the top and the bottom. Now here I had painted that little container with white linen from Cottage Colors, and it didn't quite cover it. So then I went back and I took some Slick Stick from Dixie Belle and I painted over the empty spaces that didn't cover quite well, and I let it dry overnight. Then I went back in, excuse me, with Dixie Belle's cotton and covered it with the cotton white. And here I'm using Fusion Aging Wax. I just love this stuff. I think this is the second project I've actually used it on. It's so creamy and smooth and it just goes on so nicely. It's not too thick, it's very light. And so I'm going to add this to the total outside of this little planter. I'm also going to go down inside where I painted down, oh gosh, probably a couple of inches on the inside. And after that, we're going to take a cloth and we're going to start wiping back. Look at that. Look at the magic. Look at the magic happen. So pretty. Look how it just goes into all those little creases and crevices and lines and just looks aged, very aged. I love this.